They're eating the dog. They're eating the dog. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back.
Thank you, President Xi. Thank you, President Xi. Thank you, President Xi. Thank you, exclamation point, for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, exclamation point.
When we know that she was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
President.
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people.
And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. They're eating the dog. They're eating the dog. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets. They're eating
President Xi.
They're eating
President Xi.
They're eating
President Xi.
They're eating
Exclamation point.
the dog, 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 the cats, 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 the dog, 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 the cats, 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 the dog.
Good afternoon, boys, girls, and MDs of all shapes, sizes, colors, and orientations. My name is Alec Gunter. Welcome to the Alec Gunter stream. It's so good to have you all here in cloudy, overcast Ohio today. Not loving that. Give me just a second. I almost forgot my hat. What's a streamer without his hat? Hello, everybody. Welcome in. So good to have you all here. Just got back from a workout. I am on day 2 of my diet. Day 1 didn't go quite as planned. I still stayed under my limit by quite a bit. I only had like a little over 1,700 calories, maybe 1,800. How many have I had so far today, actually? Let me look real quick. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be, to be honest. But then again, I am like pumping 2 energy drinks and an Adderall every day. So that's probably a big part of it. Let's see, I got a protein drink. I did my morning smoothie, eggs, and get rid of I didn't have any lunch. Where does that leave us? $10.85. So after I'm done with this protein drink, I'll be at $10.85. Not bad. Leaves plenty of room for dinner. Got some chicken and rice. The classic. We're getting it back. We're going back to basics. Eggs, can you afford those? Yeah, I'm a bougie person. I splurged a little bit on eggs today. I really need to stay off Twitter. I've been arguing all day with people.
Alec Hunter is here to stay. Alec Hunter knows the way. Alec Hunter, king of crochet.
Stop, I need to stop.
Alec Hunter will
Okay.
make your day.
So I want to get started relatively quickly. I do have somebody coming on at 6. For those who were here during the call-in stream, you may remember him. He was our resident climate scientist, and he'll be, just joining us to explain how fucking bad it's going to get. I need to have any sort of self-control. I'm lying here craving cake so bad. It's hard. And I'm probably not going to be super consistent. But I have been so far, and I take that as a W. Why won't Sega take my money and remaster Sonic Adventure 1 and 2? I don't know how good those would be. I feel like Sonic Adventures 1 and 2 are relics of their time. Like, the fact that they're as messed up and janky as they are is kind of part of its charm, you know? I don't know if I want them remastered. I mean, I'm not going to say no to it, but I also just don't know if it would just be as good. I think what they should do is bring us a new Sonic game, okay, Sonic Adventure 3, with the Chow Garden, but a better Chow Garden, a grand Chow Garden, if you will. The best one.
Alec Hunter is here to stay. Alec Hunter knows the way. Alec Hunter, king of crochet.
Just delete it and join the Bisky party. Listen, I'm sorry, Bisky doesn't hit the same.
Alec Hunter knows the way. Alec Hunter, king of crochet.
It just does not hit the same.
Alec Hunter will make your
I like rolling around in the dirt. I'm trying to figure out how I want to go about this. Okay, we'll do that, then that, then that. That's good. Okay, I think we got enough here. Been a good minute since I managed to catch a stream. Well, welcome in. Hey, Tipster, what's up, man? Good to see you. Okay. I think I got this set up. We can take another minute. It has been a minute, Tipster. Welcome back. Hope you've been doing well. We caught up a little bit on Twitter, but not much. I'm just really bad at reaching out to people. I'm sorry. You know, a lot of people don't like protein shakes. I gotta say, once you get used to them, they're actually not bad. They're pretty good. They have a very specific taste to them, granted. But I'd never thought it was that bad. Working through some mental health stuff. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope it goes well for you. Have you ever tried making iced tea? No. I'm not a tea person. Katie is. If I asked her to, she probably would. I've been thinking about switching to tea, and I probably do need to make the switch because right now I'm just doing a bunch of energy drinks, and it's not great for you. You know, tea still has caffeine in it, but it's at least like herbal, I guess. I don't know, like, I don't know how much I'm leaning into the appeal to nature fallacy, but it's got to be better for you than this shit. Yeah, meds dosage changes. Okay, so I explained to my chat that, like, I tried getting off Adderall for a while because I was having some issues, and I tried Auvelity at the advice of my mother. Did not work. Didn't do anything for me. So I was on that for months, thinking it'll work. It never did. It barely did anything for me. So I just went back to the Adderall, and I'm doing so much better. I don't know why I stopped to begin with, honestly. I will say I'm feeling the crash at the end of the day pretty hard, though. That's the one thing. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I sleep pretty good now. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise. I don't know. I just crashed a little earlier than I'd like. Sorry, I'm just trying to down this right now. There we go. Good stuff. Yeah, absolutely, Tipster. We'll set up a date. Not like a romantic date, mind you, but you know. I'm gonna get hate for this, but Unleashed is technically Adventure 3 because in Japan the game is called World Adventure and started development as Adventure 3. There's no Chow Garden. There's no Chow Garden. If there's no Chow Garden, it's not a Sonic Adventure game, sorry. Will do, Tipster. Thanks for hopping in. Indeed, Hasan was conservative rated. I'm sure he was rated during his stream too today. If you have any links to like anything that happened on stream today as a result of the fallout, I'd really appreciate it. I have a special history with Hasan and his community. I'm probably not the most well-liked individual there for reasons, but you know, I don't think Hasan hates me. I was very annoying in his chat when I was a Hasan sim, for sure, but I don't think he hates me. And I don't hate him. I do disagree with him. I wish he'd chill out on the fucking Ukraine stuff, calling it a proxy state and shit. But other than that, I think he's mostly good. What happened with him? We'll get into that in just a second, actually. Sounds good, Tipster. It happened again today? No. I'm wondering if anything happened today on his stream as a result of what happened yesterday. Yeah, no kidding, Tipster. It was fallout from the Jubilee video. I had a bunch of people calling you racist. And I did make, like, a comment about one of the woman's hair, and it was not the most sensitive thing I could have said, and I do regret it. So, I get why people kind of had a knee-jerk reaction, but I would have appreciated a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? Like, all I was trying to say was, there is such a thing as white coding yourself as a black person, and that's what a lot of black conservatives do, you know? So, maybe it's not my place to comment on that stuff, but that's all I was trying to say. But I can see why, you know, et cetera, et cetera. I get it. So I take it back. I apologize. I'm not going to comment on stuff like that anymore. It's just not my place. It's not my place. I get it. Anyway. It's 5:30. We got about a half hour till our climate scientist comes on to indulge us and tell us how fucked we are as a planet. So until then, let's cover something else. Indeed, we all do make oopsies. We all have gamer moments. Sorry. I get, like, really congested a lot. And then I have to make a gross snorting sound. Yeah, I don't know exactly how to start this, so I'm just gonna wing it. Hasan Piker, beloved darling of the left, a Twitch streamer, the likes of which you have never seen. He is one of the most popular streamers on Twitch, and yet he does mostly leftist content, and I agree with most of his stuff, which is crazy. You don't see that a lot. He's one of a kind, truly one of a kind. I disagree with his takes on Ukraine. I wish that he were better about that, but otherwise I find him you know, tolerable. But he got into some trouble recently, meaning yesterday as of this recording, from Brad Palumbo, leftist YouTube and Twitch star Hasan Piker, repeatedly tells his audience that if Republicans really cared about ending fraud, they would kill Rick Scott. He then has to Google what office Senator Rick Scott holds because he is very well informed. I also don't know what office he holds, but we'll get into it. We'll learn a little bit about our boy Rick Scott in just a second. Let's see what's going on here.
The president said over and over and over, we're not going to touch Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. We've made the same commitment.
What did he say about Ukraine that you don't agree with? He calls it a proxy state. He's, you know, kind of agreed with, like, tankies on some stuff about it. You know, I don't want to solidly say he stands one way or the other with Ukraine. I don't think he's ever, like, blatantly come out against Ukraine. He just has a problem with NATO. And so the fact that Ukraine wants to join NATO kind of rubs him the wrong way. And I think he could be better about it. What even is a proxy state? Well, I guess since we're into it, let's look real quick. I don't want to give a shitty definition. A state proxy. States sometimes use less powerful states as proxies, but more often use violent non-states state actors, mercenaries, and other third parties, such as during a civil war. They may give their proxies money, weapons, training, or other help. So basically, it strikes me as sort of a puppet state a little bit, is what I'm getting. I don't have like a great definition of it, but my understanding is that it's not a good thing to call Ukraine. So, sorry that I'm not the most informed on it. All I know is that Russia invaded Ukraine, and that is a bad thing to do, and I'm on the Ukraine side. That's all I know. Let's get back to this.
Now, that said, what we are going to do is go into those programs
like the
and
stream.
carve out the fraud, waste, and abuse and find efficiencies. Couple of examples. You know, there's about $50 billion estimated that are lost every year in Medicaid just in fraud alone. No.
That fraud is not coming from individuals. It's coming from providers. They're not tackling providers. They're not actually going after like false billing.
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? I guess it's Elon Musk's administration now with his hand shoved up Trump's ass, is basically trying to say that there's a ton of fraud in Medicare, right? Or Medicaid. Because that way they can have an excuse to gut Medicaid and claim that they're actually just gutting all of the fraud and abuse, which doesn't make any sense. I learned this from Sam Cedar. If you were looking for fraud and abuse, you would hire more investigators. You would pour more money into it and hire more people in order to have those people investigate the fraud and save money. You would also go after companies that are committing Medicaid fraud. It's mostly nursing homes and hospitals and companies that are doing it, not individuals. But what they're trying to do is stick this idea into people's heads that actually it's the guy living next door sitting on his fat ass collecting welfare checks and Medicaid, and he's taking away your taxpayer money, when that's simply not the case. That's not happening.
They are trying to cut recipients, okay? It is not happening at the point of recipients. If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott, okay? You wouldn't make Rick Scott, former governor of Florida, Rick Scott, you wouldn't make him the current, what is his current office? What is he? He's the Richard Lynn Scott, is an American attorney, businessman, politician, Navy veteran, serving as the senior United States Senator from Florida, a seat he has held since 2019. And also, I believe this past election cycle, he was literally the f***ing head of the, what was it, like the Senate committee or something? Like the Republican fundraising initiatives. The reason why I'm saying if you cared about Medicare or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott is because, and not make him a prominent part of the Republican Party, is because he, to this day, is still also known as committing the largest Medicare fraud in U.S. history.
So, let's talk about it. Are there other ways that he could have worded this and gotten his point across? Perhaps. I'll be the first to admit it was a little sloppy, okay? Sure. You can make an argument that perhaps he could have worded this differently. But at the end of the day, this was a hyperbolic statement to get across the idea. The main underlying idea is not we should kill Rick Scott, okay? Which we shouldn't, because you shouldn't kill anybody because murder is bad and against the law, okay? So don't. But that was not the underlying idea of what he was saying. What he's saying is Rick Scott has committed a plethora of Medicaid fraud, and they wouldn't, if they were worried about Medicaid fraud, they wouldn't be going after him. Or sorry, they would be going after him rather than appointing him to any kind of office. Let's read a little bit about Rick Scott, just so we have an idea of who he is, because I don't really know who he is either. I'm not very well educated on this stuff, in all honesty. Let's see, member of the Republican Party, served 2 terms as the 45th governor of Florida. During his tenure as chief executive, the company, what's the company's name? Columbia HCA? Columbia Hospital Corporation. During his tenure as chief executive, the company defrauded Medicare, Medicaid, and other federal programs. The U.S. Department of Justice won 14 felony convictions against the company, which was fined $1.7 billion in what was at the time the largest healthcare fraud settlement in U.S. history. Following his departure from Columbia HCA, Scott became a venture capitalist and pursued other business interests. Let's see. He won re-election in 2024. Okay, So he is senior senator of Florida, is what I'm getting. Right? That's his current position. Let me just look it up real quick. Scott position. Yeah, he's the senator. Okay. Got it. So he's currently a senator in Florida. So that's Rick Scott for you. So, being that Rick Scott committed all this Medicare and Medicaid fraud, you would think the Republicans would want nothing to do with him. But lo and behold, they're defending him like crazy. Such to the extent that they actually went after, just like Brad Palumbo did. Oh yeah, Brad Palumbo. He's the guy I was supposed to debate that one time. I never did. Maybe I should hit him up again. We'll see. The conservatives are going after him rather than going after Rick Scott, even though they seem to be very concerned about Medicare and Medicaid fraud for some reason. It's just very interesting. So Hasan Piker got banned from Twitch. He was banned for about a little over 24 hours. He says, "I'm sorry, I'll choose my words carefully next time and say if Mike Johnson cares about Medicare fraud, since he wants to cut $800 million from Medicaid/Medicare, he'd call for max punishment for current Florida GOP Senator / former Governor Rick Scott, who has done the most Medicare fraud in U.S. history." Now, this was genius wording by Hasan, in my opinion, because apparently there's nothing wrong with calling for the death penalty, right? Apparently. I mean, our current politicians are totally fine doing it. If they get mad at us for doing it, then they're just, that's a blatant double standard, in my opinion. Rick Scott tries to rewrite history on $1.7 billion Medicare fraud controversy. Rick Scott's role in the Columbia/HCA scandal. In 2003, Rick Scott's company, Columbia HCA, the largest private hospital chain in the U.S., was found guilty of defrauding Medicare. The company was forced to pay $1.7 billion, a settlement that was the largest medical fraud fine in U.S. history at the time. Scott, who was the CEO, left the company with a $10 million severance package after the scandal. In a 2010 campaign ad, he admitted the company made mistakes, but pledged to take responsibility. Department of Justice. Largest healthcare fraud case in U.S. history settled. HCA investigation nets record total of $1.7 billion. And you can read over that if you'd like. So, just interesting that. He goes on to say, big shout out to right-wing free speech lovers who took the time out of their days screaming about DEI and immigrants to cry about this. True. I personally thought that we were big free speech guys in this country. I thought we were all about letting people say what was on their mind, not getting them in trouble, not canceling them, right? We're all about anti-cancel culture here in the United States, the land of the free, home of the brave, right? Say what we want. But apparently not when it comes to things that, we don't like those. We don't like those things that you're saying. So you can't say those. As I said, if this were a blatant death threat, I'd be against Hasan on this. You cannot make blatant death threats. But it was not. Okay? He's just saying it how it is. Like, yeah, if they were really worried about Medicare and Medicaid fraud, they'd be going after this guy. But instead, he's on their team. So that's just, interesting. Tim Pool had to chime in. It's a suspension. They call it banned, but he will be back on shortly. That's pretty true. He is back on. It's likely due to his calling on people to kill a sitting U.S. senator. He didn't even know Rick Scott was a senator. What the fuck? I didn't know that either. I don't really care. He did know about the Medicare fraud. So, at least he knew something. More than I knew. Tim Pool loves that Rick Scott was caught overseeing the largest Medicare/Medicaid fraud in U.S. history and will defend the wealthy robbing you blind just as he'll defend Mike Johnson gutting Medicaid with lies. He's not independent. He's a bald partisan hack. True. And all he had to say in response was, you crying. Good job, Tim. Brother from another mother. Unfortunately. People say I look like him. And unfortunately, I think they're correct. It's not great. Anyway, Anonymous had something to say as well. Quite interesting that Hasan the Hun gets more attention for shit-talking Rick Scott than Rick Scott got for committing the largest Medicare fraud in U.S. history. Also a great point. Also a great point. The news articles are all about Hasan Piker. Where are the news articles about Rick Scott? Like, oh, I thought we were all about stopping Medicare and Medicaid fraud. There's so much fraud in the system. He had a 1.7 billion dollar settlement, the largest fraud settlement in fucking history. Like, come on. If people recognize social murder for what it is, this wouldn't be nearly as controversial. My guy, what are you saying? What is social murder? Way more buff? I agree that I am way more buff. Twitch is being accused of playing favorites after Hasan was unbanned just one day after being suspended for comments he made about killing politician Rick Scott. On March 3rd, Hasan Piker was banned on Twitch for a rant about fixing Medicaid in the United States. If you cared about Medicare or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott, he said, which resulted in his brief ban. While Hasan claimed the statement was hyperbole and admitted he shouldn't have used the term kill in his criticism, many believe that the political streamer should have been more harshly penalized for his comments. Literally playing defense. I thought, listen, I'm not saying anything, just totally off topic here. I just think that Luigi is a great counterpart to Mario in the Nintendo franchise, okay? And I thought that we all loved Luigi, okay? How is that relevant to this? You tell me. That's what I thought, okay? What happened? Why are we suddenly playing defense for fucking Rick Scott? I don't get it. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't want to read the rest of this. Wait. There was an XQC call out. This is what I wasn't sure about. XQC and more call out Twitch over Hasan's unbanned. Because I had a thing pulled up that said XQC called him out, but I never saw it. So here it is, I guess. Kick staff weren't the only ones slamming Twitch over its decision to unban Hasan. Felix XQC how do you pronounce that? Lengiel? Also chimed in on the matter with some choice words for the purple platform. The purple platform. The way me and some others were treated in a comparison is just comical. What a joke. I think I did that well. But like, I don't really like XQC that much, so I don't care. Maybe he's got a point. If anybody can, demonstrate to me that, listen. Here's the thing. I stopped using Twitch, okay? Because I felt like punishments were being dished out unfairly. That was part of it. It's also just easier to have one platform, honestly. But I don't like Twitch. It's owned by Amazon.
But does Arjan know Taiwan is a separate country from China? Thongas.
That's a good point. Thank you very much, Saki Tanuki, for the 5 Tier 1 gifted subs. I'm pretty sure he's got some weird takes about that too, but we're not getting into that. For all intents and purposes right now, Hasan's a good guy. Everyone else sucks. All right? Let's just keep it simple today. We don't got to get into the nitty gritty. We're playing it Tim Pool style. No nitty gritty today. So, listen, I don't like Twitch. I don't like Amazon. I don't like Jeff Bezos. So I'll be the first to admit, right, that like their moderation kind of sucks ass and it's not consistent. But like I'm fine with him not being banned for this. If you want my honest opinion, I think that the reason they banned him in the first place was because they're finding any excuse they can to go after leftist content creators. Not even kidding. I'm not kidding. I think that was just he made himself an easy target. We already went over that. Just to prove my point to you, let's go over a couple of recent events that have happened. Jeff Bezos announces significant shift coming to the Washington Post. A key editor is leaving because of it. You guys might remember this story from a couple days ago. Washington Post owner Jeff Bezos on Wednesday, remember this guy owns Twitch too, announced a significant shift to the publisher's opinion page that led David Shipley, the paper's editorial page editor, to leave the paper. The changes upended precedent and rattled a media company that has already been shaken by years of turmoil and leadership turnover. As part of the overhaul, the Post will publish daily opinion stories on two editorial pillars: personal liberties and free markets. Bezos teased in an X post on Wednesday morning after announcing the change in a company-wide email. The Post's opinion section will cover other subjects too, Bezos wrote. What do you
Also,
want?
technically, Rick Scott is an invasive species of snake not native to Florida.
That's probably true also. Thank you very much for another 5 tier 1 gifted subs. You're very kind, Saki Tanuki. Thank you. Let's take a look at this X post. Twitter post. I shared this note with the Washington Post team this morning. I'm writing to let you know about a change coming to our opinion pages. We are going to be writing every day in support and defense of two pillars: personal liberties and free markets. We'll cover other topics too, of course, but viewpoints opposing those pillars will be left to be published by others. In other words, if you write anything that goes against capitalism, you're out, buddy. There was a time when a newspaper, especially one that was a local monopoly, might have seen it as a service to bring to the reader's doorstep every morning a broad-based opinion section that sought to cover all views. Today, the internet does that job. Just straight up saying that, like, listen, I know that I own the news now, but, like, I don't feel like I have a requirement to give you a broad set of views anymore. I don't feel like I need to give you all sides of the argument anymore. Just the side that benefits me, of course. Me, the owner of the news. I am of America and for America and proud to be so. I'm sure you are. All of your employees piss in bottles, but I'm sure you love America and the people living here. Our country did not get here by being typical, and a big part of America's success has been freedom in the economic realm and everywhere else. Freedom is ethical, it minimizes coercion, and practical. It drives creativity, invention, and prosperity. Yeah, it's ethical. You know, like forcing your workers to piss in bottles. I offered David Shipley, whom I greatly admire, the blah, 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 blah. Anyway. The reason I'm bringing this up is once again because Jeff Bezos is the one who owns Twitch. And I am fully convinced. Maybe this is just my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. I'm willing to accept that. But you know what? No, it's not. No, it's not. This is just part A, okay? This is just part A of them coming after leftist content creators. Mark my words, okay? Mark my words. If you slip up even a little bit, they will come after you. They will rain down on you like hellfire, all right? And shut you down, especially if you're on Twitch now because, you know, Bezos has made his positions known. I might be a little bit safer here on YouTube, but not necessarily for long. I wanted to bring up something about Luigi again, but I guess this kind of ties into the next thing I wanted to talk about. So there were people like posting funny things about Luigi and, you know, the free Luigi thing, which I may or may not ascribe to. Who's to say, really, you know? And that kind of posting, what am I trying to say? Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. Sorry. So they're like funny posts about Luigi, right? Funny posts about Luigi. Let's just say that. This is another funny post. It's not necessarily like just about Luigi, but you guys can kind of get the idea from what he's saying.
I'm not saying somebody should. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying anyone should. No, I'm not. Couldn't be me. You know what I mean?
True.
But if someone was going, I'm kidding, don't. I'm completely joking. Nobody should. Nobody should.
Good point.
You shouldn't. I shouldn't. Nobody should. Nobody should.
Murder is always
That's all I
bad,
gotta say.
Evan.
That's all I have to
always.
say. Just nobody.
It's against the law.
Nobody should.
No Fed posting.
And I've said that no one should. Very publicly right now, actually. I've said that nobody should. Nobody should because nobody's going to. Because nobody should.
Okay. So the reason I'm pulling this up is because I think that these kinds of videos are going to be next on the chopping block. I think what we saw with Hasan was just an indicator for what's to come. They are trying as hard as they can without, rustling people's jimmies too much to crack down on popular leftist outlets and popular leftist media, okay? It's happening. I don't know how fast it will be, but mark my words. Stuff like this, which who's to know what he's actually saying, right? We don't know. But if I had to guess, stuff like this, they're going to start coming after it. So anybody who makes stuff like this could be next. Just watch. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, and hopefully I am, but we'll see. We'll see how bad this gets. I'm not hopeful. Anyway, as I was saying, I don't think Hasan necessarily did anything wrong. What he said was pretty spicy, but I'm sorry, conservatives are already fine saying that conservatives have the literal position that we should murder criminals, that we should just within the confines of our law just have murder legalized for our criminals and just kill them. Okay, they believe that. So I don't really take issue with what Hasan said here. He's not advocating for anybody to be killed. He was just making a very spicy point. Nonetheless, I think that this is not a good sign. We'll just say that. Yeah, only certain drug dealers without money. Okay, we got about 5 minutes. Let me take a quick break, and then we will pull on our expert for the night. Let me message him real quick, make sure he's ready, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have returned. We're going to pull on our expert here in just a second. Hello. Oh. That again. Hello?
Hello? Did that work?
I think so.
Okay, awesome. Wait, am I
Hmm.
okay?
We are currently live. You are live. Is that okay?
Yeah. Sorry, I had the stream duplicated.
Oh,
Okay, now
gotcha.
not echoing anymore.
Okay. Well, if you want to go ahead and give us your name, your pronouns, and what you're here to discuss, and also how you're doing tonight, I'd like to know that as well.
Yeah, you can call me Weatherfish. I use any pronouns, but he, him's easy. It matches my voice. And it's a little rough to be in weather and climatology right now, and might be getting into that in a little bit.
I can imagine so.
Alrighty. Let me see if I can open up a tab of your stream that is not that is muted, so that way I can be able to see chat. Right.
Oh yeah, sure. There, if you want, there is a way here. Let me see if I can link it to you. Um, there should be a way to see it, just to chat from my site. I know you can do it. I know you can do it pretty easily on mobile. I'm not sure about the computer though.
There we go.
You got it?
Mute site, and there we go. Yeah, I got the chat
Okay.
up.
Cool, cool,
All
cool.
right.
All right.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Alrighty. So, just to get it out of the way, I'm very happy to be here. For better or for worse, all of our ripped folks that are proponents of leftist ideals, there lots of scandals going around. I'm hearing lots of hate brigades. You seem like you've been pretty unscathed by that. Maybe because you've taken a break recently, but you might be the future. You might be able to be first to hit like 10 mil subs or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. But I appreciate your enthusiasm nonetheless.
Just stay out of trouble.
All right, we'll do. I'll do my best.
Okay. So just to sort of start out, I'm
Mhm.
sure you've seen they've been trying to gut Noah.
No, I've not heard of or seen this.
NOAA is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They're in charge of like taking care of all of our weather data, making sure that that's all provided and people have access to it. They're a huge aggregator of that data, and it's really important that we have them in so that way we can predict the weather.
Oh, I did hear about that. Okay. Yes, I have heard
Yeah.
that.
So NOAA and the USGS are two of the largest like weather, climate, geological data aggregators on the planet. Like, and it's not even close. The only one that's like a close second is the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasts, and even then, it's not that close.
Hmm.
And they're mostly for the UK. The Americas, we're the only one that really puts a lot of effort into collecting global data because, you know,
Right.
unfortunately, weather does not stay confined to your nation's border, no matter how big of a wall you put there.
Right.
So,
Makes
for
sense.
accurate weather forecasts require that we have this global data. We have to aggregate it. They send up weather balloons, and if you look at the budget, if Americans had to pay for it as is, it'd be about $30 per person per year to fund all of it. And of course, with how our taxes work, it's disproportionately paid for by the wealthy. But like if they wanted to turn it into some sort of paid for service, that'd be about what you're looking at.
Okay, that's not bad by any stretch.
Well, if that's every single person though, so if you're got a family of four or something,
Mhm.
that'd be, you know, like
Oh, that's a
120.
fair
Yeah,
point.
like it's every single person. So that's
Yeah,
not
that's a fair
working
point.
people.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking very individualistically, where it's like I could totally do $30 a month, but maybe that's just me
yeah,
being a bougie piece of shit. Who knows?
yeah. There's and that would be I mean, they're broadly trying to gut a lot of government services, so that'd be stacked on top of a lot of stuff. And this is paid for free. Tons of people benefit from it, which is why I'm kind of confused, like what the benefit of cutting it is. I have some suspicions, but I was wondering if you might have had any ideas as to why they'd want to gut something like that.
Well, really, the only thing I can think, and it's the simplest answer, but we're gonna Occam's razor this. If I had to take a stab in the dark, it's that they're literally just gutting anything they think they can get away with. And conservatives famously have either just outright said global warming isn't real, climate change isn't real, or that it's a good thing, or that it's natural, blah blah blah, et cetera, et cetera. So like they don't feel a need for like, and you can just look outside and see the weather, bro. Why do we need a national government organization for it? Like that, things like that. And when they gut any kind of program, you know, Medicare and Medicaid, like we were talking about earlier in the stream, all of that money goes to oligarchs. It goes to like a dozen or so people. Like that's where they're sending it. So anything that they can take money out, like rip money away from, all that money gets piled up and just goes to the top 1%. That's my best guess.
Okay. Um, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, uh, but the Republican Party has had a long history of being pretty adversarial with NOAA. I'm not sure if you remember, but back in 2005 with Hurricane Katrina and George Bush's failed response to that, that was like a really big deal back then. And NOAA was very much involved in that and like the weather service, but it was sort of a push in the opposite direction where a lot of conservative people were like, okay, we want better hurricane forecasting and stuff. And that was one of the things that Obama did deliver on. As much as he was kind of a letdown, he did build out some of that infrastructure. And
Mm-hmm.
since then, you know, a lot of it's had to do with improvements in computing, but our forecasting ability has gotten much better since then.
Mm-hmm.
But a major change happened with Trump, specifically in 2017. I'm not sure if you remember, but there was like a whole thing with Sharpie Gate, where a hurricane forecaster was in the office with Trump, or it might have been 2019. I'm not sure if I'm remembering correctly, but I believe it was Hurricane Dorian, and they showed like the projected map. I'm sure you can pull it up on your stream,
Yes, I
the
have it up.
image of Sharpie Gate. Yeah. So basically, ever since then, Trump has been just. Oh, sorry, I forgot to finish explaining what happened. Trump took a Sharpie and he extended out the path of the hurricane and basically said like it's gonna hit here, and the forecasters are like, it's not. Like what are you doing? And he was like, and he's been just super aggro to the weather service ever since then. At
Mm.
the end of the
So
day,
he was wrong
yeah,
once, and the weather service was like, actually, you're wrong. And he just never got over it. That's crazy.
yeah, there's like a really famous picture of it with him up there, but
I feel like I've seen that.
he's been just really spiteful to the weather service as a whole since then. Which is really interesting because like he at the end of the day, he's not really like the other oligarchs. He's more motivated by spite than anything else. And I just get the feeling that he just has a lot of spite for them for basically like telling him that he was wrong
Sounds like
more than
him.
anything else. Because there's no benefit to it. Like the people that would serve to benefit the most would be groups like Allen Media Group that owns the Weather Channel and like a bunch of the local weather news shows, like like you have your Fox 15, 18, 11, 9, whatever it is, all through like the more rural parts of America. That's all owned by Allen Media Group. And they don't benefit from that. Like the Weather Channel does all their work for them. They just repackage it and sell it. Like they don't lose money to the weather or to NOAA. Like people aren't looking at the NOAA forecasts instead of them. I mean, I have a small theory, which is that they want to like compete with Google and Apple and basically like prevent them from providing their weather service that they do, and like basically try to monopolize it. Though I don't know how well that would go. Yeah, that's sort of the main thing that I have, but I don't think Allen Media Group could afford that. I don't think they rake in enough revenue unless they'd be planning to like take it all over. The web, like all of the, we have hundreds of weather offices, I think, all over the country. It could be like low hundred, somewhere between like 1 and 300. I'm not sure the exact number, as well as many small monitoring stations. Each of those costs in the order of a couple tens of thousands of dollars, and we have, I think, over 1 million of those just scattered around. Farmers rely on that data. And then all of those weather offices, every day, they launch at least 2 weather balloons, and those are expensive. They do sounding, they run them like clockwork. There's helium there. You have to launch those. It's fairly expensive, but you need all of that to run the weather models. So we also help other countries and help aggregate the data that other countries do when they do the exact same thing. We have weather satellites. And so if we like shut down NOAA and then shut down cooperation with other countries, that's everybody's weather forecasting gets worse because you need the global data for it to work. If if you have like a big black hole of weather data and you can't see what's going on there, it gets much more difficult to forecast anything.
Can you talk about how that will impact farmers specifically and what that can mean for like production and like, I don't know if you have any insight as to like grocery prices or anything. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, man, I really wish I had like Kowalski from Nebraska here or something to sort of bounce my ideas off of. Maybe I saw Sake was here earlier. Maybe he can be summoned. I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, if you whoever you'd like to bring in, who you think will add to the conversation, we can.
Kowalski knows a lot. I'm not sure if you could DM him to ask. I know a little bit about agricultural meteorology, but I don't deal with that as a primary thing. I've done some frost forecasting before. That's one of the really big things that they do.
That's fine. Let's just stick with what you know then.
I mean, I certainly know a little bit. I couldn't speak with confidence and depth about it. I know there's like frost forecasts that they need that determine when they want to harvest and do their first planting that they heavily rely on. There's water resource forecasts, and that's done a lot through the USGS. And then the Army Corps of Engineers are responsible for a lot of that. Of course, we had Trump dump a big reservoir for no reason in California, and a lot of that water would have went to agriculture. So like, it's going to hurt farmers, but the farmers that rely on this the heaviest are like corn farmers in like Iowa, like the upper Midwest especially. They get severe storms there that they really need forecasts on. And because like if there's a big storm that knocks down all your plants and that's you're done. And there's also like subsidies we have for farmers that they're trying to gut right now that can help them if that damage occurs. Like you get a big windstorm comes through. I'm not sure if you could pop open a tab, just look up derecho, DERECHO corn damage, like a cornfield. You can just see it'll flatten all of it. It can topple grain silos and granaries, and there's subsidies that we have in place and insurance that the government provides to those farmers to help make sure that doesn't damage it. And that damage can be mitigated as well by having good forecasting. There's not a lot you can do, but there's some things you can do that would be a whole off in the weeds thing to get into. Yeah, like that. Yeah, that's that's your livelihood. You know, you've got 200 acres out there. A lot of it's corporate farmland, you know, owned by Monsanto or like whatever Wall Street firm ultimately owns it.
Right.
But you know, most of our corn goes into animal feed and ethanol. So this actually is probably going to have a pretty significant impact. I don't want to say significant, but you might notice a few cents at the pump if we have worse corn production, since one of the big uses for corn is ethanol, and we use that for gasoline. So, like, we don't eat much corn. I think we eat like 1% of what we grow, or somewhere around there.
Okay. If you don't mind, let's go back to our gutting of Noah. How
Yeah.
will because the reason that I remember us discussing you coming on was climate change. Does this impact climate change and our efforts toward mitigating it? And if so, how and how badly?
Um, a lot of the toothier stuff to do with the government and climate change comes to an EPA ruling.
Hmm.
I think it was from 2008 or 2010 that basically said that carbon dioxide and anthropogenic climate change represent like harm to industry or whatever, and that is responsible for justifying like all the regulations we put in, like emission standards and stuff. And I think they already got rid of that, or they're in the process of doing that. um the NOAA is hugely responsible internationally for what we know about climate change. um but
Hmm.
they've also been severely underfunded. Like this isn't really new. Climate research is so underfunded that like independent researchers can produce valuable data. Like people like Paul Beckwith, I follow him pretty
Hmm.
closely online. He's somewhat of an independent researcher. He has a YouTube channel. He gets, you know, a couple $20,000, and it's mostly modeling. Like NOAA's collected all the data. They're just not allowed to put it together and explain that, you know, the climate change in the corner.
Right, right. They're
Um,
on the ground collecting the numbers, the raw
yeah,
data,
but they're
but
not
other
allowed to
people,
talk about it.
right,
Yeah,
other people are putting it together and saying this pattern is here, that one's there, etc.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Um, so
So that
it,
would entail then, since they're already severely underfunded, gutting them even further would mean that we just simply won't have the raw numbers to work with to know how even bad it gets.
yeah, yeah, that's one of the important things they do. They collect the raw data for free. It's completely aggregated. There's no paywalls. Just you can download all of it. You can download the entirety of like all the NOAA.txt file databases. I think it's a couple hundred gigabytes, but that's like it. I think Wikipedia, just the text on it, it's like 16 terabytes or something like that, and it's
Wow.
like 100 or 200 more if you throw in all the photos.
Hmm.
So like it's something like an individual could store. You know, I mean, it'd be a few $1,000s, but like if you wanted to back up all of the NOAA data, you could do it. And there's people
Wow.
that do. Yeah, like you could store that. You could store the entirety of all the NOAA data on like a modern like PC. If you have
Right.
like a 2 or 4 terabyte hard drive, you can store it all. You can just have it.
Damn. Okay.
So, well, the one thing that they haven't done is they haven't used like newer types of bloated coding language to like write all of that stuff.
Hmm.
So while some of their sites look janky as a result of that, it means that it's like very efficient space wise for like data aggregation. Um, and running everything. The weather models all run on Python, but the data that they're fed is collected through other systems. Though they are transitioning over, or they were. Biden put a bunch of money in with the Inflation Reduction Act to help modernize NOAA, and that's all gone now, or at least it's frozen.
No surprise there.
Yeah, the Inflation Reduction Act was. I mean, the Republicans were screeching about it, but it was a little bit of a light Green New Deal. It didn't do much, but it did lay some of the groundwork that would make it easier for somebody to like expand upon it in the future. Like if you have zero green infrastructure, you it's super hard to build it out. But if you have like 1% of what you need, you're a lot further along than if you have to like train everybody. If you have some people that are already trained, they can train other people and you can get the ball rolling. But if nobody has those skills at all, it's much more difficult.
Yeah, I imagine. Let's talk more broadly about climate change, if that's okay with you, and where we're at with that.
Yeah.
Because we touched on that a little bit during the call-in stream. I'd like to just, maybe over the next 10, 15 minutes, just kind of get an idea of where we're at now, how bad it is, and how bad it's going to get how quickly.
All right. So jeez. I'm sure you've heard of Sabina Hassenfelder. I don't like her very much, but she did bring to public attention something I'd been aware of for a few years in one of her
Oh
videos.
no, not her.
She's shifted a lot since when she put it out, but it was sort of like a backhanded attack at climate scientists, but she did bring up something called the hot model problem, which is where we had a bunch of weather models that were climate models, my bad, that were
Mhm.
showing about 5 degrees of warming off of our like more aggressive efforts to mitigate it.
Mhm.
And that had to do with cloud brightening. And we can drop her now because she had very little to offer other than just bringing up and naming the paper. That's how she operates. She has like one good paper that she'll bring up, and then she'll just yap nonsense for the rest of it.
Yeah, I've gone
Um,
over one of her videos before, which was really funny because it seemed like she was trying to discredit climate science, but then she was saying, no, actually, it's worse than they're saying it is, which is
yeah,
probably
I
true. But then she's like, this is why you shouldn't trust them at all. And the entire comment section was
yeah,
filled with, well, no, I don't. And it's like, you're just content farming. You're not actually like trying to fix anything.
yeah. She's terrible. If you want a
Yeah,
good if you want a good science education channel, I Professor Dave, he's really good.
I've heard of him.
I would highly recommend him, especially with some of his topic content that he's done on climate change. I feel like it's a lot better perspective for somebody who doesn't know much on it to come at it from.
Mhm.
He's he explains in some detail, but I think his content broadly is pretty approachable
Mhm.
as like a layperson. Like if you were to like watch his video and like the government can't create hurricanes, that sort of thing,
Mhm.
you could understand it. It might be a little bit difficult. You might have to rewatch it a couple times, but like it's something that's like able to be parsed as just like a layperson.
Okay. So, climate change, where are we at with it?
It's pretty bad right now.
So
Um
I've heard.
uh, yeah, I can just briefly review what I had said previously, but
Sure.
we banned sulfur and heavy shipping fuel oil, and oh god, get her off of the screen.
Hmm.
Sabina, I don't want to look at her.
She's not
um
on there anymore.
oh, there we go. Okay, I
Where?
might be a little bit behind.
Oh, you're fine.
Oh yeah, there we go. Um yeah, so that sulfur in the ship oil, which is it's a type of crude oil. It's low levels of processing, and when that gets burned, it creates sulfuric acid and
Hmm.
sulfates, and those provide condensation nuclei, which is what little water droplets form around. It needs a little something in the air. It could be like a bacteria, a little bit of dust, some salt in the air, and so it increases the amount of clouds at like low level over shipping lanes, which are more common in the northern hemisphere, and it also, sorry, I'm just pulling something up right now.
No, you're fine.
It also brightens clouds, so it makes them whiter, which is really important.
To bounce off the sunlight.
Yeah. Here we go. This is one of the like more I DM'd it to you. You should be able to pull that up. It sort of shows the rough area of where that like sulfur from the fuel is. and it's bad because it contributes to acid rain. But honestly, with how bad climate change is going to be, it's
Yeah.
not really comparable in the damage.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a drop of poison as compared to like the whole bucket. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
I hear you.
so this is essentially doing a type of geoengineering that we could do, which is putting aerosols into the air to sort of mask the warming that we're getting.
Hmm.
Major volcanic eruptions can do this, but they don't always do that. I follow up on that because that leads to another thing that happened recently.
Hmm.
But it causes a cooling effect. The little ice age that they had in Europe, there's a big volcanic eruption in Indonesia, I believe, or it might have been the Philippines. I can't remember which one it is, but somewhere in Southeast Asia. Um, and that masks the warming, but it doesn't sequester any CO2. So all the carbon dioxide is still there. And if you want to continue keeping Earth the same level of habitability, you have to keep putting more and more aerosol into the air. And if you wanted to do it really long term, you could put mirrors or like particulates in space and orbit around the Earth. So you could put
Hmm.
like a big dust up there, little specks of aluminum foil, whatever, and you could put it way out in high orbit. And that could block like 1% of sunlight and do a pretty good job masking it for a while. But there's other problems with carbon dioxide besides just the warming it has that would make that a really bad idea.
Yeah.
And instead, if we wanted to do geoengineering, we really need to focus on things that actually sequester the carbon dioxide and take it out of the air instead of just masking its effects. So I honestly expect the more temporary solution, like we're going to use aerosols for geoengineering. Like by the time we get to the 2040s, 2050s, I expect that to be like a mainstream right wing position, because that would allow us to continue using fossil fuels and like not have to suffer the worst effects of climate change. So this is something that isn't necessarily something that climate scientists have to be prepared to debate on right now, but like we very much this is going to be like a hot topic in the future. It's
Okay.
going to be like,
So
oh,
to
what kind
speak.
of geoengineering? Yeah, yeah, it's going to be um something that's not in the immediate future, but like long term. Like if you can just like lay the seeds of just like saying that this is bullshit or like we really shouldn't do this, which I can explain, and there's a lot of good reasons why we don't want to do this. But that's going to
Hmm.
be like a battle line. I guess climate change is going to get to the point like no sane political party can ignore it. I guess you could have like some of the fascist cult parties, but like if fossil capital wants to continue, and I really hope we can stamp it out for the most part by like
Hmm.
the end of the 2030s. But if we can't, like this is gonna be where the battle lines are.
It's going to be like but at a certain point, it's going to be like you might as well believe the Earth's flat.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And indeed a lot of Republicans at the moment do because we're reaching that level. Like we're there.
Yep.
Trump is a holdover. All the newer like Groyper Republicans and stuff, they're like disingenuously pro-nuclear. Like they'll admit that they believe in climate change, but there's not anything we can do about it, or oh, it's actually good or whatever. But they're different lines, and those are going to continue shifting. But I think Trump is really the last hurrah of like climate denialism. So that's not real. That's not really where the fight is right now. You could bring on a climate denialist, onto your stream and absolutely wreck their arguments, just for the memes. But nobody, I won't say nobody because there's certainly like some old people that do, but they're in denial more than anything. Like they're not like
Yeah.
Trump knows climate change is real. He believes it,
Well,
or he
they all
says he
do.
believes it disingenuously. Yeah. It's more something that you can have like peace of mind with.
Hmm.
I don't think it's like a real position that many people have. Of course, if this video blows up and there's people out there that see this and are like, oh no, I know for a fact climate change is fake. It's made up by the Chinese government and we're just controlling hurricanes to destroy red states. or something like that. You know, I'm sure they'd
Yep.
love to come on, and that'd probably be fun for you. But I don't think that's a mainstream position. Like I don't think that's the line anymore.
Yeah, I think you'd be luckier, or not luckier. I think you'd be more likely to find somebody who's like, yeah, it's real, but like it's a natural cycle, and we're all gonna be fine, and you don't have to worry about it or change anything. We don't need any policy, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I think it's less that like people don't believe it, and more that people don't believe we should be doing anything about it or that it matters. In my
Yeah,
opinion.
that's the line right now, is fighting
Yeah.
against the doomerism.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm very concerned seeing that there's a lot of doomerism on the left about climate change, because that's literally just I sound so like tired saying it, but that's why, like, you know, that's why you got to keep fighting it. You know, there's always more you can do.
So,
And a lot of people, yeah,
go ahead.
sorry.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
A lot of people will say like, "Oh, there isn't anything we can do about it. It's not worth it." But like, I fully believe that those narratives are like amplified on social media by like oil companies and stuff, because that absolutely benefits them. If you don't believe that there's anything we can do, or like we're screwed anyways, so like why bother? They're making money. They're not getting flack. You know, that's it works out very well for them.
So, I don't want to be America centrist or America centric. I don't like doing that, but we only have limited time. So let's talk about just the United States, right? The average
Yeah.
person, and I know it varies from region to region, but like the average person in the United States, maybe like take somebody who's coastal, take somebody who's more midland, south, north, whatever. What are the implications for the average person? Like, what are we going to have to deal with in the coming years?
Okay. So there is something really important that I need to bring up to have this conversation. Here we go. I'm going to also send that to you. And it is something known as the AMOC. That stands for the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation. It's a mouthful. And that was the plot of The Day After Tomorrow, which
I saw that movie.
wait, The Day After. I think that's the right movie.
Well, that's the one where
Yes, the
there's
2004 one. Yeah, where
there's like
you know,
ice so bad that it like instantly freezes everything
Yeah.
around it. Yeah,
definitely exaggerated, but
of course.
it's also not wrong. That the AMOC is a big conveyor belt that transfers heat from the southern hemisphere. It's not just the tropics. The entire southern hemisphere is cooled by the AMOC. I'm sure you can see that big plume of cold water. It goes around the entire globe, transferring just in amount of heat energy that is quite frankly incomprehensible. Like, it's not even worth comparing it to like the global energy output. It's like fractions of a percent. Like, it's an inordinate amount of heat and water that is moving through this process. And it is driven by surface wind and salinity. So we have a minor issue, or maybe a little bit more than that. Greenland is melting really fast. And that means that at the poles, we've known this for decades now, but all that fresh water that melts off of Greenland lowers the salinity at the North Pole, which is supposed to be, or well, not exactly the North Pole, but like south of Greenland, which is supposed to be a very high salinity, since all that water that's carried north is supposed to be warm and it's evaporating the whole time, so it should be leaving behind more salt,
Right.
which is what primarily drives it. Like, you get all the Gulf Stream, huge amount of warm water, warms the entirety of Europe and a good part of Russia as well. And that is supposed to, you know, make the water saltier and saltier, and then it finally gets so salty and dense, because salt water is denser than fresh water, that it sinks to the bottom of the ocean after it's cooled down, and it circulates all the way around, and then it upwells in the southern hemisphere, a good bit of it off the coast of South America. There's a lot of places of upwelling, but the deep ocean layer, where it's, you know, the bottom of the ocean, you go to the Marianas Trench, that's tropical. It's still like freezing down there. Like, it's like 31 degrees at the bottom of the ocean, no matter where you go.
Right.
And it's in large part because of some of these deep water currents. There's other things that go into it, but that heat energy conveyor belt is super important for regulating our climate. And what this does is it pushes a bunch of warm water in the Atlantic from what would be off of like Argentina and like South Africa, like that. They're closer to the equator than like Florida is. So like that should be where the warm pool is, but instead what you see, and I think this is actually a much better image for me to send to you to just sort of illustrate that.
Okay.
But what you get is that all of that warm water from off of like Africa, it all goes up into the Caribbean, and that causes the entire tropical rain belt to be shifted northward, like more into like Venezuela and like the Sahel region of Africa, India, Southeast Asia. And you know what all those places have in common? That's where people live. Like that's where like all the people are, is in that area. And if you go south the same distance, it's just water. Like you
Right.
like you I mean you've got Australia, but for the most part it's water. There's a lot
I mean,
less land
it's,
there.
it's just Australia. You know, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
that much.
Uh,
I understand.
Still, like Australia is not India. And
Right.
if the AMOC shuts down, although it's not the most visible impact to your median Amerifat, sitting on their couch enjoying their little treatler goodies from China, which
Okay.
are now cut off due to tariffs.
True.
But in the ideal, sorry, I just need to 1 second. I'll be back in like 2 seconds.
Okay. No worries. Take your time.
Sorry, just had to grab something.
You're fine.
So what that's going to do is this is going to be where a lot of that mass starvation comes from. Because if that water is no longer brought upwards into like the Atlantic and the northern part of the Indian Ocean, like all that water is going to be colder. That's less evaporation. That's less rain. So what you end up doing is you shift the tropical rain belt south. So instead of that water falling over Southeast Asia, India, the super populated parts of, Central America, northern part of South America, Mexico, Florida, all of those areas that receive tons and tons of rain and where we grow a ton of food, even places like Nigeria has a ton of people. I think they're like 400 million people, something like that. It's a lot of people live there. And they're all their water is going to get cut off because that rain's going to be falling over open ocean instead. And so that's going to be like, you've heard about climate change causing mass starvation. That's going to be what causes it. The tropical
so
rain
basically
belt
drought
shifts,
is what we're looking at.
there. It's a little bit more complicated over the Sahara because the warming is actually causing the West African monsoon to grow more intense. Which is going to cause the Sahara to gradually green as the planet warms. It's a little bit complicated. It's a little bit uncertain, but I feel like based off of what I've read, I could say pretty confidently that it's far more likely than the Sahara becoming drier. But that still means that like India, southern China, Vietnam, basically the entirety of Indonesia, all of which are major food producing regions, like all your spices and stuff.
Yep.
Those all come from there. Your bananas come from Central America. They're all going to get a lot drier, and there's going to be a lot less food there. And there's just, quite frankly, there's not that much agricultural land in other areas. I mean, I guess if those rain belts shift south, that would cause Australia to get wetter. But like, I have a feeling it's. I don't think there's going to be a benefit to it. It's just going to be more suffering. There's so much land area in those regions in Africa. I'm sure you can see like it's just north of the equator. Like that's where all the water is being carried to, is off of Africa. And that it's such a huge food region. Like I do not see this
So
not resulting in mass
we're
starvation.
we're looking at more rain where there shouldn't be rain, less
Yeah.
rain where there should be rain, lots of drought in those areas, lots of so that'll impact food production, that'll impact exports of food.
And since it's a
Obviously,
global food market,
yeah,
all of those people are going to be competing with Americans, and we have a lot more money, so they're probably going to be starving while we still have food. But your food's going to get more expensive since there's going to be all those billions. I think like 3 billion people roughly depend on the AMOC for their food supplies to be consistent for the rain. And I mean, there still might be some agriculture that takes place there, but like it's not going to be the same.
okay,
So those areas have two options basically. They starve or they heavily invest in desalination technology so that way they can continue growing food even when the rain stops, which is something that might happen. And this is going to be a huge issue in the future. But that's not the end of AMOC. That's like step one. That's the big one, but it's actually less visible. With AMOC slowing down, it also pulls a lot of water off of the eastern seaboard of the U.S. I'm sure if you can pull up the previous image, it shows it a little bit better.
sure.
But that Gulf Stream, all that water is going off of the coast. So without that water stream pulling water off of the coast, you would very quickly, as it shuts down, notice like 5-6 feet of sea level rise, somewhere around
Oh
there,
boy.
off on the entirety of the U.S. eastern seaboard, because that Gulf Stream is no longer pulling out into the eastern Atlantic Ocean. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, water levels, like the sea level in Europe, like off the coast of France, is a bit higher than it is off of the U.S. East Coast. And that doesn't even factor in stuff like the Thwaites Glacier collapsing, which is that's one of those tipping points. And the reason it's a tipping point is because now that it's collapsed, it's going to start falling into the ocean. And that means that sea level rise, instead of a trickle off of Greenland, it's going to be a big flow off of Antarctica. And that's going to cause sea level rise to go from millimeters per year to centimeters per year. So like from here out, it's going to be rising faster, just like the baseline.
So Florida's screwed, obviously.
Well, we love to make our jokes about Florida being screwed, but it really kind of isn't, at least for a while. The Everglades are going to be the most heavily impacted. What it really looks like is the storms come in and then the water doesn't go out quite as far as it did the last time. And you just
Okay.
repeat that. But Florida's wealthy enough, like if they have to, they'll build levees around Miami. They'll build levees or Orlando's, a few feet off of sea. I think they're like 70, 80 feet off of sea level. It's going to really impact a lot of the coastal stuff, but there's ways you can work around it. As much as we like to joke about it, it's really going to be the global South that's going to be dealing with this more than like Florida.
Right.
And it's also going to be like the rural Gulf Coast, like Texas. A lot of people in Florida and like politicians and, the oligarchs that call it home, they know that the sea level's going up and that it's going to hit Florida really hard. So there's plans in place for Florida to, build that out, help, if it's dredging, shoring up sea lines, whatever it is, to prevent it from sinking into the ocean. They're ready to do that, but there's much more rural areas where they're not going to have the money for that. And it's just
Right.
going to be like, okay, this land is
And
now uninhabitable swamp.
and because it's going to hit the global South hardest, what that means is we're going to have a migrant crisis on our hands.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Huge
If you
swaths of
thought-
people. Yeah, go ahead.
That if you thought their food getting cut off was bad, think about how much worse it's going to be when their house is underwater.
Yeah.
Like it really scares me, the extent to which I expect reactionary sentiment to grow during that process.
I mean, we could
Like
be looking at war.
the anti-immigrant sentiment, however bad you think it is right now, like unimaginable horrors will be committed to immigrants unless like left-wing parties broadly that can provide a counter narrative to like right-wing reactionaries, which is why I think it might actually be a kind of a good thing that they're taking power now, because it's going to be very recent in the minds of a lot of people in the West how like disgusting that rhetoric is. And I feel like we're going to have rejected it by the time where the migrant crises get really bad. Like we're going to already have moved past that. That's my hope, at least.
We can hope so.
Because I think they're playing their cards early. If I were to be a strategist for like the right wing, I would hold off on the anti-immigrant rhetoric until like climate change ramps up, so that way like you get maximum people in support. The left has the hardest time defending it. Like they're kind of consolidating early, which is a narrative sort of across the board. I think they were expecting more resistance, and they weren't expecting to get into power until like the mid to late 2030s, like fully. And they've got it all now. Like the Dems have laid over no resistance.
Right.
And so they're sort of putting all their cards into these buckets before the crises that they're, you know, sort of hyping up right now that don't really exist. Like they're pushing it, and they don't exist. So like they're
think
wasting effort.
I'm going to push back a little bit on this. I think that you're giving them a little bit too much credit. I think that a lot of them don't know this is coming, at least as bad as it is. And I think that like they are just like, you know, like they would absolutely jump at the opportunity, but I don't think conservatives are smart enough to plan ahead and be like, well, we're going to wait until the migrant crisis from the global warming, and then we're going to, you know, do this. I think personally,
yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Maybe
It's not a bad
people
theory, but maybe if we were in a movie, but like I think that's a little bit too high
I was saying
for them.
If I were to be strategizing for them, that's what I would be doing.
Gotcha.
Like
okay.
if you were to put me in the chair, I would
Right.
I would absolutely say that they're consolidating too early. The migrant crisis barely exists right now, and everybody's freaking out about a fake crisis, like be it from Europe or whatever. Like the Syrian refugees, it's a trickle now. It's not happening. It was happening. It's not, and they haven't updated their rhetoric. So them going all in on anti-immigrant stuff right now is going to negatively polarize people against anti-immigrant rhetoric in the future, which is really good because we're going to really need that.
Well, that's a silver lining.
Yeah. That's the hope.
Right.
The second thing that the AMOC does is it transports warm water northward. So all those people that think,
I'm not
Canada,
worried.
1 second.
Hakeem Jeffries
sorry.
has a plan to be a
Very fine.
consultant to the energy industry by 2030.
Thank you very much, Saki Tanuki, for another 5-tier on gifted subs. Appreciate you. We can hope that Hakeem Jeffries pulls through for us. Anyway, sorry.
Absolutely.
You can continue.
Oh, you're all good.
I
absolutely
would like
read those
to. I would
emails.
like to wrap this up relatively soon.
All right. Yeah, I can always come back at a later date, or you can bring me on in a follow-up segment if you want to.
There seems to be a lot to this, and I don't want to cut you off early, but if you could just give us the highlights.
The last bit of this is that because it transports so much warm water into the northern hemisphere, all those people that think that climate change is going to make Russia and Canada the new like grain belt breadbasket of the world, they are dead wrong. It's going to freeze them out. Europe's going to turn into an ice box when all that Gulf Stream warm AMOC water stops flowing there. So our agricultural belts are going to get squeezed. It's going to migrate south and north at the same time and just become a smaller region. If they want to continue doing farming that far north, they're going to have to do like Iceland and have warm greenhouses. Because with all that water slowing down, it's going to cause colder winters. A lot of the Arctic sea ice retreat that we're seeing right now is going to slow down, but the Antarctic ice retreat is going to speed up. So we're still going to be warming as a planet. It's going to be really bad. But without the Gulf Stream there, I really expect, at the very least, a slower cooling or slower warming up there than the rest of the world, and more extreme winters. Maybe they get really hot summers, but they're also going to get really cold winters, and it's going to make it really hard to farm up there. So people like Vivek or whatever that are like, oh, okay, we're going to have Minnesota be like the breadbasket. It's going to be Russia. I think Vladimir Putin's convinced that climate change is good for Russia. It's not good for them. The AMOC shutdown, which is after the most recent, I think it's COP. They had it in Azerbaijan. It's a climate change conference. several people published papers about how the AMOC is definitely shutting down, and like all the people that were naysayers about it, like they are very wrong. Like every signal is pointing towards it. Although there's a little bit of disagreement on how rapid it's going to be, but this is going to be very noticeable by like the late 2030s and should continue into like the 2100s if it indeed happens, and it's going to be very difficult to reverse that shutdown. That's
Right.
basically like the biggest things that are going to affect the US. There's other things that I could get into, and I'd love to, but like this is like the big one,
Okay.
and the rough timeline on it.
Okay, if we could just, in the last couple minutes here,
Yeah.
could you just, is there anything that like the average person can do to like, help this at all? Like, can they
Yes.
go to their politicians? What do you recommend?
Everybody listening to this is like several times more important than the average person. I don't want to inflate your egos any more than they are. But it is super important that the left aggressively pushes in favor of addressing climate change, like really aggressively. Like this needs to be like the number one issue of the left is climate change. Everything else, a lot of the social stuff, the exploitation, the capitalism, it kind of slots into place once you have that. But like Delinka in Germany needs to be screaming from the rooftops about climate change. The leftist coalition in France needs to be screaming from the rooftop about climate change. People like Bernie, AOC, the American progressive left, screaming from the rooftops that no quarter, we need to aggressively tackle this, and we can aggressively tackle this. And it's sort of one of those arguments where like there is no real response that conservatives can have. So it's extremely advantageous to the left, and it's super important that the left maintains the strongest positions on this. So if you can join your local like DSA, Working Families Party, whatever, community orgs like Elks Lodges, whatever it is, push climate change, make sure it's top of mind for people. That's the most important thing you can do, is that the left is the like a I want a very specific vision. It's the gray environmentalist left. The green environmentalist left is greenwashing, your paper straws. Gray environmentalism is if you want to protect nature, don't live in it. Live in efficient cities. It's going to make everything better. You can make them pretty. You can have plants there. But at the end of the day, preventing urban sprawl, making things more efficient, people that are pro-nuclear, that sort of thing. Gray environmentalism seems to be separating a little bit from green environmentalism, which is like we're going to have clean coal, greenwashed, astroturfed. A lot of the green parties around the world, they're highly ineffective, basically just spoiler parties. So making it very clear to people that the left has a very coherent, scientifically backed position on this, and that it is by far the best. That I believe, like if you as an average person, and there's not that many leftists, so I hope I'm speaking to a good chunk of them here. That's what you can do.
All right, Weatherfish, thank you very much. I know we talked a little bit about it on the call last time. I'm going to give you another chance if you'd like to shill anything. If not, that's totally fine. But I just want to give you that opportunity once again.
Subscribe to Paul Beckwith. Give his channel a little look. He could use some love. He's a very good resource for information about climate change. Very dense, maybe a bit obtuse, but you know what? Give him a platform. If we put that man in charge of the global response to climate change, it would be a very good thing.
How do you
If
spell
you put
that?
him as PaulBeckwith. I'm sure he'll be a little bit surprised to see an influx since he's not a super large channel. But if you want to just sort of know what's going on, he definitely is a little bit negative, but he's not doomer about it. He's just pretty realistic. If you want to give him a watch, have his audience overlap with the left broadly, I have a feeling that would be a good direction for things to go in.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming on. That was very informative, and I think everybody here learned a lot, including myself.
All right. I look forward to talking to you about this more. I have a feeling as the left learns how to push this and make really like watchable, consumable borderline slop content about it, it's going to do numbers. I really am confident about that. Just judging from the general disposition of like a lot of young people.
We can certainly hope so. I would like to see more attention given to this issue, and that's why I'm giving it as much as I can now. So,
all right, thank you.
Alrighty, thank you. Have a great night, and keep in touch. Okay.
All right, you too.
Alrighty, take care. Lovely. It would seem my viewer numbers have boosted. Just joined from No Justice. Thank you so much for the raid, No Justice. Appreciate you very much. Appreciate you very much. I forgot to ask if you pulls. That's okay. I watch Paul Beckwith. Very nice. All right, I'm going to run to the bathroom, and then I have some beef to crush with Scully the Hypno Skull in chat there, so I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Scully the Hypno Skull, if you're still around, make your presence known. To answer your question, what do you need illegal immigrants for anyway to do jobs that aren't good enough for you? We don't need undocumented immigrants. What we need is for the current undocumented immigrants that are here to get documentation, be legal, earn proper wages, and be treated properly. That's what we need. Because they do a ton of work for us and don't get much credit for it. In fact, they get the opposite of that. So if you're still here and would like to discuss that, make your presence known. Otherwise, we're moving on. Weatherfish, you did great. You did great. We touched a little bit on the at the end there about how to what people can do instead of being doomer about it.
Movies that I've seen so.
I'm just checking the Critical Drinker to see if he's got anything recent that I'm interested in. And it does not look like it.
Ryan Taraban, and this is Psych.
Okay. All right. Who wants to look at some apparently incel stuff? Is what I'm told. We love our incel slop here. r/debate and incel tier. I've never heard of this. What is that? I just made it up. Well, now I see that. You had me excited. I thought that was just like a smorgasbord of incels to debate. You lied. That's okay. I forgive you. All right, let's do this. Do you want to be a man? Do you want to be masculine like me? Well, I have good news for you. This guy has all the answers for you. His name is Psych Hacks, and let's just take a look at what's going on with his channel. I came across one of his videos from another political commentator who was reviewing it, and that person called him an incel. I don't know if he's an incel. I have never seen him before. I've never heard of his work. But I'm interested in taking a look because apparently he has a background in psychology, maybe psych hacks, maybe better living through psychology. I mean, he's got to have some kind of background in it. He claims to. Presented by Orion Taraban, Psi D. Wait, he's got the middle initial D. He's got the will of D. Psi D Psi Hacks provides viewers with a brief, thought-provoking video several days a week on a variety of psychological topics inspired by his clinical practice. The intention is for the core idea contained within each video to inspire viewers to see something about themselves or their world in a slightly different light. The ultimate mission of the channel is to reduce the amount of unnecessary suffering in the world. Well, that sounds like a decent mission. I can get on board with that. So this is one of his most popular videos, I think second most popular. It's called How to Be a Man, Essential and Performative Masculinity. So I just want to see, what he has to say about this and see if I agree.
Power. Whenever I list my news media consumption on any political surveys I get, Alec Gunter is one of my listed sources.
That's very kind of you. That's more than I deserve. Thank you very much. For another 5 tier 1 gifted sub, Sakatanuki. You're very kind. All right, let's get into it.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is Psych Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is how to be a man. It's a simple question, and one that 100 years ago would be ludicrous to ask, because back then, everyone just sort of knew what the answer was. But here we are in modern times.
I disagree. We can go back and back. Like, the ideal man, the ideal masculinity has changed all throughout history. that's never been a silly question to ask. Like, I think as long as humanity has had the gender category of man, like that question has been asked. It's never been a silly question to ask.
Times characterized, among other things, by an identity crisis in men. How we got here is extremely complex,
I agree
but
with that.
here is where we are. Now, some forms of masculinity, such as machismo masculinity, are fairly complex. This is because they are performances of an unwritten etiquette with evolving rules and standards.
Is that not just what gender is, though? Like, but wait, you said there was a time when, like, that's a silly question to ask. So if it's constantly evolving, then that I feel like you're kind of contradicting yourself, right? Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
However, this form of masculinity, as much as femininity, is essentially performative. Neither is a natural.
Okay, hot take. Gender is a performance. I'm sorry, it just is. Gender is a performance. It is how people. It's partly how people look at you, but it's mostly just a performance that you put on for people. Okay, like that's all it is. It's the clothes you wear. It's the makeup you put on. It's the way you walk, talk, act, dress, whatever. Like, gender is a performance. That's all it is. Okay, like that's all it's ever been.
Suite of behaviors, and each is an expression of a particular time and place. These forms of masculinity and femininity can be learned, and skillful execution of their respective suites of behaviors both express and confirm status in men and women. Many of the answers you'll hear on the internet to the question of how to be a man correspond with performative masculinity. They are things that you can do to signify your man status with props, costumes, and postures. These could be things like grow a beard, lift heavy stuff, start a business, go fishing, go hunting, learn to start a fire, learn to drive a manual transmission, learn to seduce women, learn to fight, learn to shoot a gun, learn to grill a ribeye.
You know what my answer is? How to be a man? However you want. However you want, baby. Okay? You want to be a man that rocks a dress and lipstick? Do it. Okay? No, I got no issue with that. That's my answer. However you want to be a man is how you're going to be a man. Just all you got to say is that you are indeed a man.
Mistake. Talk knowledgeably about sports, drink beer and appreciate whiskey, etc. Now, I don't have a problem with any of those things. A lot of them sound fun and could prove beneficial to the individual in question. However, I do think that all of those responses suffer from defining masculinity essentially as a suite of behaviors, as a performance.
But that's what it is.
Now, I have a different take on this question.
Okay.
As you can see, I'm not a guy who's very performatively masculine. I work with words in a very feminized profession. I've never played football or scaled a fish or roped a calf. However, when it comes down to it, I'm extremely masculine. And this is because what it means to be a man is very simple and only marginally associated with what you do or what you look like. Are you ready? To be a man is very simple.
Okay.
You need only two things. You need a spine and you need some balls.
Okay. Are we okay? Okay. Are we talking about like spiritual balls or like literal balls? I have to assume he's talking about spiritually, right? Like you know, grow some balls, grow up hair, whatever. You know, which would insinuate, if that's the case, then that means that people who were born female can also, quote unquote, be a man, right? Like, which I agree with. But I don't, like, masculinity is like, gender in general is like a complicated discussion. Like, certain behaviors and traits and whatever lean more masculine, some lean more feminine, and some aren't either, you know, like plaid outfits or colors that you wear. Like pink is a feminine color, but like green isn't. Like green is just a neutral color. So it's a complicated discussion, but like, I don't know. I'm not completely like thrown off yet. I'm interested to hear what he has to say. Do tennis balls count? Of course.
That's it. If you have a spine and you have some balls, then you're a man. And just so we're clear, I'm not talking literally. All
Okay.
humans have a spine and all males have balls. What I'm talking about
Not
is
all.
a spine and a pair figuratively. It's simple, but not necessarily easy. Let's talk about each one individually, shall we? First, what does it mean to have a spine? A spine means that you are willing to stand up. Anatomically, you need a spine to stand erect. Figuratively, you need a spine to stand up for what you believe to be true, which is, in your heart of hearts, who you are. And this, of course, presupposes that you actually know what you believe to be true, and this ain't easy. Most of the things in your head were put there by other people, and a lot of that...
Everything in your head was put there by other people. I'm sorry. Like, you're a product of your environment. There's no getting around that. Like, there's no such thing as an original thought. There's no such thing as a completely original idea. Like, if you want to have a completely original thought or idea, first you must create the universe. I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe I'm being a little too contrarian, but I'm just throwing that out there.
That stuff is total garbage. For most people, it takes years and years of patient self-study to learn what they believe
Women are
to be true.
invertebrates, true.
So young guys get a pass here, though it's important to acknowledge that we tend to make their jobs harder by filling them up with so much distracting nonsense to begin with. However, there are many older guys, men who I speak with on a regular basis, who don't know what their values are, don't know what they believe to be true, and consequently don't know who the fuck they are. And how are you going to stand up for something if you don't know what that something is? Now, before I go any further, if you're liking what you're hearing, then please consider sending this episode to someone who might benefit from its message, because it's word-of-mouth referrals like this that really help to make the channel grow. And if you're
Pretty sure the brain worm in RFK Jr.'s brain wasn't put there by other people. That's on him.
That's fair. He put that is the one original thing in somebody's brain, is the brain worm that RFK put there. That's pretty true. Thank you for another 5-tier 1 gifted sub, Saga Tanaka. You're very kind tonight.
If you're liking what you're hearing, you can hit the super thanks button. It's those three little
So
dots.
all I'm hearing so far, by the way, is like, in order to be a man, you have to like, I don't disagree with what he's saying so far, but I feel like this is like just very basic, stand up for your value, have values in the first place, and then also stand up for them. You know, by that logic, like, it's just a matter, like, I don't know, like, it just seems too basic to me. That's all.
It's in the lower right-hand corner.
I don't
and tip
disagree.
me in
It's just
proportion to the value you believe you've received from
It strikes me as like, I'm 14 and this is deep kind of shit.
this episode. I really appreciate your support. Now, having a spine
Women can also
lets
do
you
these
know
things.
where you stand in relation to the universe. This is because as soon as you stand up, you cast a shadow, which situates you in a specific place between the heavens, literally the sun, and the earth, your immediate surroundings. Unless you are completely in line with the light, there is no way to avoid casting a shadow on this plane. Among other things, this means that as soon as you stand up, that is, as soon as you make it known who you are and what you believe in, you will attract an antithetical element in opposition to that, the shadow. People will disagree with you. People will disapprove.
Okay, like, I see the metaphor, but we're getting pretty esoteric. Yeah, he really do be yapping, man. Does this work for people? Like, does this help anybody? If this helps people, then sure, but I just don't see it. I don't see it, man.
Of you. Some people will despise you. And the taller you stand, the more some people will threaten, attack, and seek to destroy you. This is part of the risk of standing up and having a spine. And this, of course, is why we rightly respect people who stand up for what is right, despite the personal risk of doing so. What's strange is that the alternative to doing this, that is remaining spineless, isn't all that great either. You go through life never really knowing who you are and what you believe in. Now, it often happens that some people do know who they are and do know what they believe in. However, they're never able to find their place in the world because they weren't willing to stand up from their hiding places and say, this is me. This is because doing so requires the second ingredient, a pair of balls.
Pair of balls. Let's
Having
go.
a pair means that you're willing to suffer the risk
I love balls.
associated with being somebody, a specific individual with values and beliefs. It means putting your money where your mouth is. It means not giving a shit whether you agree.
But like, once again, all of this can also apply to women. You know? Like, I don't disagree with his advice. It's good advice, especially like maybe this does work for a young man who's like finding his place in the world. I get it. Okay? But this isn't specific to men, I feel like. I don't know. I guess if I were to give advice to young men, it also wouldn't be specific to men. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just being overly critical of him.
Agree with me or disagree with me.
This is kind of boring.
Not giving a shit whether you approve or disapprove of me. Not giving a shit if you love or hate me. It means, if necessary, putting your money, your relationships, your career, your status,
I will add one caveat to this. One thing that I think this is dangerously approaching is not being able to fundamentally change your values or opinions as a person. Because if you get too deep into like standing up for your values no matter what, and and having the balls to go out and say things that people don't like, and you're gonna get haters, but god damn it, you're gonna say the thing that nobody else is willing to say. Like, at some point, you do have to self-reflect, okay? So if you're a young man watching this, I would add a third thing to this. You have a spine, you have balls, have an internal compass, you know? Like, understand when you're wrong. I think that speaks more to somebody's character than anything else. If you have the ability to reflect upon yourself and your own actions, understand where you might be right, and be able to take criticism, you know? I think that's where a lot of this advice misses. You know, like, this isn't bad advice. I just think that men could do a lot more self-reflection. Like, maybe the things that I think are wrong. You know, let me think about that for a second, because that's a big part of, you know, not just being a man, but being a good person. That's what I would add.
Your reputation and even your life on the line in the service of what you believe to be true. If you have a spine with no balls, you spend your life hiding from your friends, hiding from your women, and ultimately hiding from yourself.
What about balls with no spine?
Well, you technically can't do anything to earn respect, in the sense that you cannot make someone respect you, especially if, for whatever reason, they have a mind not to. You can significantly increase the probability that you will garner respect from other men and from women in general by having a spine and growing a pair. We respect those who are willing to hold the line and stand up for what they believe in, regardless of the consequences. Paradoxically, we like those who don't seem to care whether we like them or not. On the other hand,
hiding from your women. Did he say hiding from your women? Did I miss that?
You will garner respect from other men and from women in general by having a spine and growing a pair. We respect those who are willing to hold the line and stand up for what they believe in, regardless of the consequences. Paradoxically, we like those who don't seem to care whether we like them or not. On the other hand, we typically have neither respect nor appreciation for those who do things so that we might like them. Let's recap. If you know who you are, what you believe to be true, and if you're willing to stand up and risk it all in the service of those beliefs, in the service of your mission.
What do you mean risk it all? Like your money, your house, your livelihood? Like, what do you mean? Like, this is big talk, but how do I actually put this into action? You know, what do I do with this information? This is a lot of, here's my problem with this. It's not like it's bad advice. It's not like he's saying anything that I disagree with, but it's a lot of word vomit. It's like, be yourself, be a big boy, and go out and do the things and get the girls and make stuff and do stuff. It's like, none of this is useful, man. This isn't like groundbreaking stuff. Why does this have 2 million views? I don't understand. Do people actually like get something out of this? Like, sure, there's worse. I've seen worse. You know, this isn't like Andrew Tate bad, but like it's just kind of vapid in my opinion. It's empty. It's devoid of anything of substance. Yeah, it's like what Jordan Peterson kind of used to do before he like grifted hard to the right.
Then, congratulations, my friend. You are a man. You do not need to grow a beard. You do not need to hunt or care about football or drink everyone under the table or plow through half the women in town. You need a spine and some balls. If you have all the other things, but you don't have a spine and some balls, then you're not a man, in my opinion. And if you have none of those other things, but you do have a spine and some balls, then you're a full-fledged man. Hopefully, that clears some things up. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience?
I think it was not the worst, but not the best. Here's another thing about this, right? What a lot of young men are struggling with today is they're struggling with a lot of stuff, like fitting in, being social, right? Finding their place, you know, being a provider. Men are taught, especially in the United States, they grow up thinking and learning that they're supposed to be a provider, right? Somebody who eventually gets married, is able to take care of a woman, is able to take care of their kids, you know, get a good job, makes a good amount of money, have some muscles, stuff like that, right? Like, or be able to defend yourself, stuff like that. And unfortunately, like a lot of young men just don't have the opportunity to seek that out anymore for various reasons. You know, we've become a very isolated culture, especially since COVID. People have lost the ability to socialize. Men spend a lot of time on their video games and, you know, with maybe their online buddies, which isn't bad, but like they find meaning in like toxic social groups and hating other groups of people, like out groups, especially women and trans people and gay people and stuff. And there's a lack of what am I trying to say here? There is a lack of identity, I think, because when you can't land a wife or have kids and provide, right? And when you're taught to do that all growing up, there's no identity there anymore. So I think a big part of this conversation that often gets left out is capitalism, frankly, has just kind of fucked over young men. And so has toxic masculinity, but young men just don't have the opportunity to seek out what they're told they need to seek out in order to be fully fledged, accomplished men. And I feel like this video didn't really address any of that. And I'm not saying it had to, but like, you know, if you actually want to make a video that helps young men, maybe address some of this stuff, you know? The video's, like I said, it's just kind of empty. So it's not bad, not the worst, but I feel like it's kind of pointless. That's what I got from it. That was boring. I need something juicy. I just thought that like one of his most popular videos would be more interesting than that. That's what I thought. Go vegan. It's nonstop juicy. You should go vegan if you're able and willing. Yes, I'm very drama-pilled. Do I have anything in my playlist?
Hello, and welcome.
Maybe we could go over more Dr. Joseph. You guys remember this guy? I haven't uploaded any YouTube videos of him yet, but we're about to. Liar. He's a liar. I'm giving away our secrets for free. Uh-huh. Don't tell your doctor you are depressed. SSRI induced suicide in UK's royal family. Yeah. That's a risk factor of taking SSRIs. Is when you first start, your chance of suicide increases. What else we got? He doesn't have very many that stick out. Like, some of them do, but they're a little longer. That's some drama, you think so? Let me see.
Today's video is the type I find really difficult to make. It's about a tragic story that has captured the headlines in the UK. The death of Thomas Kingston, a member of the extended royal family. He seemingly had it all. An ex-diplomat with a successful career, a loving family, and a bright future.
Go over one of his RFK videos.
So it was a big day today. We had RFK Jr. go to the Senate confirmation hearing for Secretary of Health, and he was grilled on antidepressants and homicidal behavior.
RFK Jr. faced the Senate confirmation hearing and had a heated discussion with Senator Tina Smith about a possible link between SSRIs and school shootings. Are these medications as safe as we're told? Are concerns about violence and withdrawal just misinformation, or is there more to the story? Is the science settled on this matter? Let's break down what happened and why this matters. What about Critical Drinker? He doesn't have anything recently that I'm interested in. Like, listen, I'm not as up-to-date on media as he is. Maybe. He's a maybe. Dr. Joseph is a maybe. Who have I not gone over in a while? Wait, what about Yellow Flash? Ooh, he went over the Hasan drama. Andy Pants? Yeah, but every one of Andy Pants' videos is exactly the same. It's not even worth it. Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Nick Fuentes. I'll look. I don't know why they haven't been appealing to me lately. I need new stuff. What's Matt Walsh been up to? He's usually good for my algorithm. Eh. Blair White. Ooh, Blair White. I haven't got anything concerning her recently.
Is this
Take a look. All their shit's like a half hour at least. She doesn't upload very often.
Is this?
See what Vosh is up to. Yeah, we'll shit on Vosh a little bit. Ooh, the Blair White Project. Wait. What the fuck is this? They transitioned a mentally handicapped person. I can't believe it. I feel like I would feel disgusted watching that. I don't think I can watch that. She's talking about whether or not Michelle Obama's trans. That conversation hasn't gone away. Is that some ableist shit? I have no idea what it is. I don't know if I want to watch it. I don't know if I can take that.
I teach.
Here, let's see what she has to say about the woke teacher. This would be a good way to cap things off for tonight. I have no intro for this. Blair White is a transgender person that exists, and she likes to grift for conservatives. Woke teacher says the quiet part out loud. Wow. Let's take a look.
High school, and most days of the week I come to school in stilettos. And the reason why is so I can create an explicitly queer space for all of my students.
Shout out to all the parents too, because I would be in jail. I would be in jail. Trans joy.
Good to know that you would commit assault on a teacher. That's cool. Hi, baby. Sorry, this is important. We have a guest. Hello, ma'am. You came at just the right time. And goodbye. Okay. It was nice while it lasted.
Is resistance. Brown joy is resistance.
That's stupid. That was just stupid.
Brilliant commentary.
I'm Daddy Moke. I'm Daddy Tom.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house,
Three
your emergency,
dads.
whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease.
Are you sick? Are you okay? What, you're just like on reserve for like the 7 large and in charge lesbians who may get themselves involved in a wildfire and you can help them?
True, ACAB. It doesn't matter what they look like or their sexuality or their gender identity. ACAB.
So I thought that this was going to be the last reacting to woke TikToks segment because I woke up this morning and TikTok was banned for about 4 hours until Trump came in and saved it. So thanks, Dad, for saving the app and for also...
Ah! Ah! Ew! Ew!
I had a visceral reaction to that. Disgusting. Grotesque.
So saving this iconic segment of the podcast, reacting to milk TikToks. Let's go.
Being misgendered can be an incredibly painful experience.
Oh, here we go. The circus is in town, boys.
I'm Daddy Mark.
I'm Daddy Moke. I'm Daddy Tom.
We have a fabulous life together.
So wait. Right off the bat, what's the problem? I don't understand. Like, listen, I'm in favor of polyamorous relationships. I'm okay with, I'm in favor of gay marriage. I fail to see if as long as they're good parents. That's a 3-parent household. You want to talk about, right? Conservatives are always like, well, single parent households are generally not good because they don't have enough parents to, like, okay, more the merrier then, right? 3 is great. Why not? Why are you so shocked by this? What's the problem? I don't understand.
Hey, come on in. Welcome. Moke is
You're so
the
shocked.
love of my life.
Things that Mark and I both love to do, obviously working out, shopping,
Damn.
labels. We love plastic surgery. I don't know about the side effects. I don't know if I can really make any expressions.
Okay. Listen, I'm not a plastic surgery guy, but that's your right. Fucking American citizens over there. That's their God-given freedom to do plastic surgery if they want to.
Find me a church.
Am I allowed to say I'm against this?
What? Wait, why? Sure, you're allowed. It's the United States of America. You have freedom of speech, but I would like to know why.
Because I'm going to.
Why?
Yeah. Can the world please stop trying
why?
To make me homophobic? Because I'm on the edge.
What happened? What?
3 dads. We're supposed to have flying cars in the future, bitch. We're supposed to be living amongst the Martians. What? The Anunnaki like 3 dads.
Guys, we can't have flying cars because 3 guys decided to get married and adopt children. That's why we can't have flying... Guys, that's why we can't have flying cars and live with aliens, guys. Because gay people exist and sometimes have polyamorous... What? Are you stupid? Yes, that's the answer is yes.
Dads. And one of them's named Moke. Like, we are so far out of the conversation about, like,
okay.
oh, can a
Never
gay
heard the
couple,
name, but...
can there be 2 dads? 3 dads. I saw trending on TikTok right now. Everyone's talking about how polyamorous people all have that.
You need to actually explain the problem to me. Break it down, okay? Because right now all you're doing is 3 dads. What? Explain it. Explain it. Explain the problem.
That like humanless,
or shut the fuck up.
Blank, soulless stare.
Why do people in open relationships always look like that?
That's literally all she had to... We're moving on now. We're moving on. That's literally all she had to say about it is that... like, that's it. Like, mouth agape. That's it. It's just shock content. It's just shock content. That's it.
I'm being very non-specific here, but...
No, because what do you mean by that?
Hold on.
I'm...
soulless stare.
Why do people in open relationships always look like that? I'm being very non-specific here.
I'd love to know what you mean by that.
But no, because what do you mean by that?
Okay, Blair, break it down. Please explain. Go on. Look like what? Go on. I would like to know every intimate detail that you believe is worth pointing out on this lovely person. Please, go on.
What is that if not this? These motherfuckers look like plaster.
Okay, we're still on
like
this.
Like glazed donuts. Or better yet, glazed fruits.
Why did we go to that and then go back to this? I don't understand.
Like glazed donuts. Or better yet, glazed fruits.
My name's Nikki. I'm studying Latin American women in visual culture. Melanie, I'm studying the unseen body and creative spaces of Eurasian exposure of the queer. Yeah!
Okay.
I'm Nina, and I studied the arts, education, and social justice. Yeah! I'm Joyce. I studied decolonial intimacies, indigenous politics, and resistance. Yeah! Sorry, and I studied remembering or forgetting.
You ladies are going to make flawless baristas for the rest of your lives. Wow. First of all,
maybe that's a problem with capitalism. You know, maybe they have knowledge that goes beyond a barista that they could actually implement and make the world better. Unlike you, by the way. Okay, you honestly, Blair White, would be serving the world more as a barista than doing the shit that you're doing right now. I just want to point that out.
to the big one. It's so
Infinitely
crazy
more.
how y'all talk about queer erasure. The erasure of queer people. How are y'all erased when every time I look up, I see you? Y'all are everywhere. These are the same people.
You are literally
who
also a
wanted
queer person.
Student loan forgiveness for these stupid ass majors.
Are you against student loan forgiveness? That's a bold position. Most people are in favor of student loan forgiveness because most people have fucking student loans. So yeah, student loan forgiveness, yes. I don't care what your major was.
I know, like, there are some Dems that watch this, which, shout out.
Hi. Well,
I know
I'm not Dem, but she'd consider me one. I voted Dem.
You're a bit of an endangered species these days, girl. But can you explain to me why you're a Dem? Because it's like student loan forgiveness, as far as I remember, was like the big one. That you were like, we got to vote for Biden because he's going to forgive the loans.
Period. Period, period, period.
For all the basic just getting queer erasure majors.
Or any, okay, let's start with then, how about like a chemistry major? Should they get student loan erasure? Or how about like a PhD? Or not even a PhD. How about an MD? An MD. Should an MD get loan forgiveness? What do you think? Let's start there. You know? Like, do you believe in loan forgiveness for anybody? Or are you just pointing out the low-hanging fruit and saying these people don't deserve it? And using that to shoehorn your way into, well, actually nobody deserves it. Because I think that everybody deserves it. But if we can at least start at like MDs in chemistry and biology and the things that actually, like, that most people think are the ones that matter, quote unquote, then if we can start there, then maybe we can get our foot in the door a little bit. But I don't think that you actually believe in loan forgiveness for anybody, which, you know, kind of sucks. That's shitty of you.
Diplomas. Ugh. And he didn't even do that. He didn't even do that. What is the rationale for being Democrat? You're just going to have your house burned down and the debt collectors are going to come knock on the rubble talking about where's my money.
I mean, she's got a point when it comes to Biden not forgiving student loans. I would love to have had my loans forgiven like I was told I would. So thanks, Biden. Appreciate it. But that's about all I can say I agree with her on.
I teach high school, and most days of the week I come to school in stilettos. I get to stand at about 6'6", and the reason why is so I can create an explicitly queer space for all of my students. That way they know that this place is a place for them, by them, and because I never had one of those growing up. So, yeah.
Wow.
What's wow? What? I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, can any, like, I think it's fine. Unless you don't think anybody should wear stilettos, at least that's consistent. I just don't see the problem.
As much as I love gay people, you make me homophobic.
You could have just erased all the bullshit in the middle of how it's a space for them, and by that, yeah, it's because you didn't have what you thought you deserved as a kid. That's disgusting. So it's about you.
What's disgusting about it? Trying to create an inclusive space for queer children? What's disgusting about that? I don't get it. 6'6" is an aura.
Ooh. It was always about you.
An aura, I guess.
Acting out your fetish around kids. This is
oh wow, okay. No, that's literally just, you're just being homophobic. Oh, fuck you, man. Fuck you.
An ad for homeschooling. I feel like I've come very full circle on homeschooling. When I grew up, I used to really judge, like, you know, the homeschool kids, they were weird, whatever. I knew a couple in town, and it's like, you know, they were weird, but like they were only weird in the...
You're literally... Okay, can I just say this? I'm sorry. Blair White, you are literally fucking trans, okay? People say that you're acting out your fetish every fucking day of your life just by virtue of existing. What the fuck are you doing licking their balls? Stop! Stop! Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Patooey, I say. Get out of here. Nobody likes you. Literally nobody likes you.
And stupid, like all of us in public school. And for me, I just feel like this is the Rockefeller school system. They got grown men walking in with stilettos and gay flags for kids. How
So
exactly
what?
would the kids whose parents opted them out of that be the weird ones?
Because they don't accept gay people. And I think that gay people deserve to be accepted in a civilized society. There's nothing wrong with being gay. And by insinuating there is, you are the shitty person. Sorry.
That's that inversion I always tell you about. It's like, okay, you could do all that, but you could also just like teach them math. What was it? I'll put it on the screen. There was something where they couldn't find like a single like 8th grade class in like an entire city that could read at 8th grade level in like a public school. So maybe that can come.
I promise you, the presence of gay people is not impacting your child's ability to do math or read or anything. It's just not. Like, it's not. You can do both. They're not replacing reading lessons with gay people and gay studies, okay? I'm just saying.
Come first, please. Back in my day, this teacher would have been perhaps still a teacher, but just like the music teacher. You know what I mean? Maybe not like an actual teacher. And maybe he would have not.
They're not an actual are music teachers not actual teachers now? I mean, they're called, that's their title, is teacher. Is she like a decent person in any regard anymore? Like, does she have actual humanity left? Or is she just like a shell that conservatives have pumped full of their bullshit? And she's just like, I almost feel bad for her. I would almost feel bad for her if it weren't for the fact that she were making ridiculous money doing this. I just don't think that she has any humanity left. She sold it all. She sold her soul to the devil. She's fit? Okay, it has nothing to do with this. She is absolutely sold out. It's sad. It's sad.
Came wearing the stilettos with the gay flag. It would have just been like a little bit of an open secret. Like, oh, Mr. Matthews is a bit fruity, right? He got dropped off. There was like a man in the car with him, shit like that. But for this music teacher, this is clearly some kind of satanic symphony you're teaching these kids. And it's got to end. What's today?
How's that a satanic symphony? What?
Trump gets inaugurated tomorrow. Your shit ends tomorrow. Ho. Shout out to all the parents too, because
dog, you're literally trans. I'm sorry. They're going to go after your ass first. They're going to go after your ass first. Like, they're literally starting with trans people. I'm sorry. You will act as a body shield for that man. Let's be real here. Like, you're going to be first. Sorry.
I would be in jail. Because
I just want to go back to that real quick.
Ho. Shout out to all the parents too, because I would be in jail.
Do it. No, seriously, do it. Go do the thing that you think that would put you in jail. Go ahead.
I would be in jail. Because see,
you talk big.
Those fake ass Jeffrey Campbell leaders that you're showing off here, the clear knockoffs, because they don't come in suede, right? I have the leather ones with the real.
We're being funny now. See, it was just a joke. It was a joke. I'm not really being. Listen, we're being funny now. It's funny.
Thanks. And we could really have a leader off bit.
She said that those shoes were meant to be worn on a beautiful woman. So if that's the case, she should have.
Don't worry, she wasn't advocating for violence, guys. It was funny. It was a joke. It was funny.
On the
okay.
rack, and she should never even purchase them because she was unqualified to own those shoes. If that's the case, and I think Gemma is just a disgrace.
Why would conservatives think fact checking is biased against them?
Fair question.
I mean, what are you sharing if you keep getting fact checked for false information?
I don't know. I mean, maybe just that there's two genders. Maybe just like.
But that's here. I mean, where are you getting that information? There's more than two genders. We can fact check this right now. From Medicine Net. What are the 72 other genders? All 72 genders. See? It's science. Somebody should put together. Okay, so do you guys know? Here, hold on. You guys know this song? Somebody do this with all the 72 genders.
There's antimony, arsenic, aluminum, selenium, and hydrogen, and oxygen, and nitrogen, and rhenium, and nickel, neodymium, neptunium, germanium, and iron, americium, ruthenium, uranium, europium, zirconium, lutetium, vanadium, and lanthanum, and osmium, and astatine, and radium, and gold, protactinium, and indium, and gallium, and iodine, and thorium, and thulium, and thallium.
Somebody do that with the genders. That'd be sick. Where'd my video go? Oh, there it is.
It's like basic that y'all still somehow feel empowered to fact check. See, when it comes to Miss Joy Reid over here, Miss Joyless, right? Miss never smiled a day in her fucking life.
What does that have to do with anything she just said? She's literally smiling right now, by the way. The Animaniacs too. The Mexico, the places that no longer exist.
She's not just smooth-headed, right? She is a bald. She's also
What?
smooth-brained.
Bro! Whoa! Hold the fuck up! Hold up! What?
Not just smooth-headed, right? She is a bald. She's also.
Bruh, you can't, dude. You like literally. I hope for your sake you never meet that person like out in the wild, dude. Like that shit will get you absolutely smacked across the face, which I don't condone, by the way, because you don't condone violence on the Alec Gunter channel. I'm just saying that shit will get you in some serious fucking trouble. Trust me.
So smooth brain. The carpet matches the interior, for sure. Because this is the stupid. How does she still have a job? If I was only getting 70 people watching me every day, I wouldn't get paid from YouTube. Shit. So why is she still over at MSNBC, you know, doing her 1-2 over there? Doesn't it kind of feel like reacting to like a dinosaur, like a legitimate like endangered species, like media talking head, like shouldn't even still be around, but it's like, oh my god, nice to see you're still, you know,
endangered species, unlike trans conservatives, which will persist far into the future.
Around. No one wants to hear your mouth, that foul mouth, that dirty little mouth, but it's interesting that you're still around. Look at God.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Oh, wait, is this a firefighter? I'm sorry. I take it back. Listen, still ACAB, but also if these are firefighters, that's different. That's different. We respect our firefighters here.
If I have to carry him out of a fire.
You big for nothing. Big for nothing. And when I say that,
what?
I'm being very specific. You are literally big for nothing if you have to come up with some kind of excuse why you can't carry a man out of a burning building. If you're a firefighter, you better be able to carry anybody out. And for you to fix that...
Actually, let me see this. You couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is...
And for you to...
He got himself in the wrong place. Listen... I kind of have to disagree with that. Like, if you're a firefighter, there should be minimum standards for being able to carry adults out of burning buildings. And I do think that's one of those careers where, like, you can't, like, yeah, there should be minimum standards for, like, your capacity to carry somebody. Now, granted, once you get into the fire force, the firefighting force, like, I don't know everything about it or anything about it for that matter, but my understanding is that they don't really, like, do they have regular fitness tests? If they don't, they should. I do think that there should be a minimum fitness standard. And if you're saying, like, well, your husband got himself in the wrong place. That's stupid as shit. I'm sorry. I do have to say that that is stupid as sin, okay? You can't go saying that as a fucking firefighter. That's stupid.
To fix that, let me not. Actually, let me. For you to fix.
You couldn't. So the response to you couldn't carry my husband out of your house is, well, sorry, sweaty. Your husband got himself into the wrong place. And it's like, dog, come on. That's literally your fucking job. Shut the fuck up.
Fix that stupid mouth of yours and say, people want someone who looks like them when they're coming to rescue them from a fire. Are you sick? Are you okay? Who the cares what anybody looks like when they need help coming out of a fire? And then what, you're gonna like if it's a man because you hate your dad so much?
Okay, I kind of agree with her. I kind of disagree with her. Here's where I agree. If you're in a fire, and you call the fire department, I'm sorry, but typically you're not going to give a shit what the person who saves your ass looks like, okay? You're just not. You're not. On the other side of that, I do think that fire departments should have Alec Gunter, are you going to cover the State of the Union? Actually, I had plans tonight with somebody else, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Sorry, what was I saying? There should be minimum standards. I do think that you should be open to accepting applicants from any background, but they should be able to meet those minimum requirements. That's what I think. And you should strive to employ a diverse workforce. You should. But again, there are minimum standards that need to be met. So meet them. You don't just get to say, well, your husband got himself into the wrong place. Sorry, sucks to suck. I guess he's dead now. So, yeah, I mean, you know, this is silly.
Right? You're like gonna, laugh at him and be like, you got yourself in a bad position? Yeah. And you're like doing a job where you're supposed to help people in bad positions. You sick big for nothing.
She's not
ugly
wrong.
For nothing.
She's not wrong.
And foul mouth for nothing. I mean, is there no sense of optics in the LAFD? Like, and what do you even mean people who look like you? I mean, thankfully, I don't really ever see anybody that looks like you. I mean, it's a unique look. It's a unique look. What?
I don't give a fuck what they... Wait. You just said who cares what they look like. You lost me. You literally just said who gives a shit what they like. If that person can carry your ass out of a fire, who cares? What? Who gives a shit?
But you're just like on reserve for like the set.
The firefighter isn't even saying she can't. She's just saying how she would give someone lip if they doubted her. I can see that. I don't like the response. You know, like I feel like there's a level of professionalism where you need to reassure people that you are capable of doing your job in an emergency situation. Because bigots are going to bigot, but if they get into a fire, they should be able to, like, I think that people should be able to trust their local fire department to carry them out of a burning building. I think that was a stupid response. That's what I think. So yeah, you could say that they were just giving him lip, but there needs to be, like, especially on a video like this, it's like there needs to be more professionalism than that. That's what I think. I can see where you're coming from, the doubt that comes from a queer-looking individual, right? Didn't a California fire chief say something like what the firefighter said after she didn't save a woman's husband? I don't know. If you have that, link it.
Evan, large and in charge lesbians who may get themselves involved in a wildfire and you can help them, right? And you're going to hell for that. Even if you repent for being gay, you're still going to hell for this.
Trans joy is resistance.
Wait, she did say your husband got himself into the wrong place. If I have to carry him out of a fire. Okay. I'm going to back up. I think... Okay, maybe I fucked up. She's not saying she's incapable of doing it. She's giving them lip. Okay, sorry. I take it back. Rewind. She's just giving lip. Sorry.
Trans joy is resistance. Brown
We're moving
joy
on.
is resistance. Every single time you get up in your marginalized body and have the audacity to pursue your pleasure, to pursue your freedom, to pursue your authentic self, to pursue the elevation and veneration of your ancestors, to pursue your rights as a human being, that's a revolutionary act. Black healing is resistance.
Stupid.
What?
That was just stupid. All the racial activists want to talk about resistance all the time. What exactly are you resisting, Miss Bitch, up on your
Systemic racism. That's what they're resisting.
iPhone invented by white people on that Wi-Fi?
Okay, now we're doing white nationalism. Very good. We're doing white supremacy. Very good. Very good. Got it. Let's talk about where the resources came from that built that iPhone. Shall we? Let's take a look. Let's see. Where is the iPhone made? The iPhone's component manufacturers. Well, this doesn't tell us where the resources come from. Will this do it? An iPhone is not only assembled in China, but it starts in that country of a much earlier stage and much deeper part of the earth. 90% of rare earth minerals, naturally occurring solids whose combination comprises essential iPhone parts, are mined in China, notably in Mongolia. Although things may change soon as newer eco-friendly mining technologies will allow the U.S. to tap its rich mineral fields. So China, I mean, it's literally like not white people who get the resources. Yeah, we're not giving credit to the people digging like actually doing the heavy labor to get the components. I could have sworn there were parts that came from Africa. Here we go. How conflict minerals make it into our phones. Can you go away? Fine. You win. Wait, continue without support. I didn't need to turn off ad blocker, you lying son of a bitch. Did I? There. Tin, tantalum, tungsten, and gold. All of these minerals are found in our electronics and all are conflict minerals due to their potential origin in the Democratic Republic of Congo. While the African country contains an estimated 24 trillion in untapped mineral resources, it remains mired in poverty and violence, and mining these four metals can help fund armed conflict in the region. So you can say that white people invented your precious iPhone all you want. The bottom line is, they ain't building a fucking iPhone without work from African people. She's wrong. I'm sure she is, but you know what? For the sake of the argument, let's say that she's right. Where do those resources come from, dumbass? America was built on the backs of black slaves. Shut the fuck up.
Invented by white people talking about I resist. It seems like you're very much participating in white culture right now. Just
Cobalt.
saying.
That's the one I was thinking of. Thank
Although
you.
I was having like a really fun.
So we got a little white supremacy in there for funsies.
Joy.
That's good.
You know, they want to talk about black joy, white joy, right? And as long as we're segregating the joy, and there's different kinds, I do think there are some instances where white joy goes a little overboard, right? And I hate to pick on the white people because I am white. I love white people. They get enough hate. But there is a little bit of a complaint I have. I had something happen the other day. So
don't tell me that a white person did something bad. That never happens.
I was in the airport with my dog. And this, very nice seeming Caucasian flight attendant came up and she said, "Oh my God, can I pet your dog? Your dog's so cute." And, Bella loves when people pet her. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. And this woman proceeds to pet my dog, like she said, but then she proceeded to allow my dog to stick her entire tongue down her throat. To which the woman reciprocated. This woman was legitimately French kissing my dog, and I thought if I've ever seen an example.
Why is Gunther acting like firefighters don't have to pass physical fitness tests? I never said that. Listen. Okay, let me address the firefighter thing real quick. What I heard was when somebody accuses that person of not being able to carry out that somebody from a fire, her response was, what I heard was maybe that person just got themselves in the wrong place. That's what I heard, okay? What was actually said was a sassy response saying, maybe your husband got him, I'm missing context. Maybe your husband got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire. And I missed that part and I apologize. I'm sorry. She was right. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's cool. I get it. People were doubting her abilities and I was wrong for also saying like I was missing context. My brain just cut that part out. Okay. I shouldn't have made the comments I did.
Of white joy gone awry. Because be so for real, the way y'all kiss some of these animals, it's only really white people that do that. And that's an example where I'm like, you know what? Maybe white joy can sometimes go a little bit overboard. But other than that, I don't know where I'm going. I'm tired, y'all. I'm tired. This year's already...
I'm sure you are. Okay, well, that was enlightening. Thank you very much, Blair White. Always a pleasure. I don't know what else to add. Okay, I'm tired. Time to dump you guys. I was a little harsh. I'm sorry. I was harsh on the firefighters. That was my mistake. Go to Dylan Burns. Thank you, Apples. Okay, you guys are going over to Dylan Burns. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all very much. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And I will see you all probably later this week when I stream once again. Until then, take care and take care of yourselves. Love you all.